If you listen carefully to the advice and practice the simple exercise I give you today, you're going to be able to read music 10 times faster. And I know this to be true because I've taught a lot of students in my day, and every student I show this strategy to, it works every single time. Make sure to stick around because towards the end of the lesson, we're going to have a playing quiz, which is going to make sure you truly understand all this stuff. And then we're going to finish out the lesson strong with a power tip, which is going to introduce you to a technique that builds off of this one so that you can read music much faster. Let's get on to it. All right, now onto our strategy here. You're going to start with C, and then what I want you to do is practice skipping up over every other note. So by skipping, you're just skipping one note, hitting the next. So that's E. You want to say them out loud as you go. G, and then keep going. B, D, F, and continue until you reach the top of the keyboard. A,
C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C. And you want to get as fast as you can with that. It'll take you some practice,
but I can do it pretty fast. C, E, G, B, D, F, A. C, E, G, B, D, F, A. Well, wait a second. Isn't that, don't you hear a pattern there? C, E, G, B, D, F, A. C, E, G, B, D, F, A. So get that pattern down in your mind and then practice it, playing it up on the piano. But that's not all. I also want you to go backwards. Start from, say, middle C, and then you want to go backwards, which is going to be probably the trickier part. You want to go C, A, F, D, B, G, E, C, and then keep going, A, F, D, B, and then you run out of notes all the way down there. So practice it going forwards and backwards. You know, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, F, D, B, G, E, C. As you can see, it's even a little bit trickier for me to go up and down the keyboard, and I am going to explain how this is going to help you actually read music here in just a second. I want you to continue practicing this pattern, but I want you to start practicing it. Once you get it started from C up and down, you then want to just start on different notes going up and down. So I'll just start on D instead, the next note up. D, F, A, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G, B. You can see that it's the same pattern. I'm just starting on a different note now.
So now maybe just start on the next note up. E, G, B, D, F, A, C. E, G, B, D, F, A, C. And then come back down. A, F, D, B, G, E, C. A, F, D, B, G, E, C.
And the better and faster you can get at that, the better. And then the last thing I want you to practice with this after you've done it, going up and down from C, starting on different notes, up and down, backwards and forwards. Then the last thing I want you to do is I want you to practice this by memory without looking at the piano at all. I want you to go, all right, so what's the pattern? C, E, G, B, D, F, A. C, E, G, B, D, F, A. Now I'm going to go backwards. I really need to use my brain for this. A, F, D, B, G, E, C. A, F, D, B, G, E, C. Okay, now that I've explained what to practice, it's time for me to show you how this actually applies to reading music. Okay, like I mentioned in the beginning of the lesson, you want to figure out how to read music first. Okay, so this is middle C. This is where middle C is on the treble clef, right? And you see how the staff is made up of lines or spaces, and obviously depending on which line or space a note falls under, tells you what note to play and where on the keyboard to play that note. Now we have C here. Now the thing is that every time you go up a line, every time you have a note up on the next line, you are skipping, just like we did on the keyboard here. So you have C, next line's E, G, B, D, F. So if you're like trying to figure out, say we even have one more line up here, and you're like, well, what note is that? Well, what you can do is you can use our little skipping technique to go, okay, that's C, E, G, B, D, F, A, right, since we've been saying it over and over again. So therefore, that note all the way up there is A. So if you're not familiar with your ledger lines, which are the lines you add when you go up or down off the staff, you can use that skipping technique to much faster figure out what those notes are. Let's do one that's like really high up, and I'll show you even further how this is going to help you. Okay, now we have a note that is way up here. Now, if you did what I instructed and learned how to read music, or you probably already know some of it already, you might know that that top line is F. And if you don't know that, you can count all the way down from C, C, E, G, B, D, F. See how that checks out? So that's F right there. And then, hey, all you have to do is keep skipping from F to figure out what this note is up here. So let's try it. So hopefully, like I said, you want to practice doing the skipping from these different notes. And here's why. So now we're starting from F, right? And this F specifically is up here. So doing the skipping pattern from F, remember it's F, A, C, E, G, B, D. So let's figure it out from there. So here's F. Next line must be A. What's after that? C, E. Therefore, this ledger line up here must be G. F, A, C, E, G. And then if you had one here, this would be B. If you had one here, this would be D. Just knowing what that pattern is. Now say you have a ledger line way down off the staff. Well, this is where counting backwards comes in. Because if you remember in the beginning, or just a few minutes ago, I said that this was middle C right here. Well, all you got to do is count it backwards. So this is why I told you to count it backwards. C, you can use the piano for this one if you want. C, next one's A, F, D, B, and that was the pattern. So C, A, F, D. So C, A, F, D. Therefore, this note must be B. So we pretty quickly figured out that that was B down there. And like I said, when you have it memorized, you can go all the way up really fast. You know, C, A, F, B, D. I could count down there really fast if I practice what I told you in the beginning of the lesson every single day. Now let's do a couple of left hand examples or bass clef examples. It works the exact same way. So say we have this G right here. So again, helps to know how to read music on the staff. So what note would this be? If this one's G on that line, what would that note be? Well, all you got to do is you find G. The G we're looking for is actually all the way down here, but you can, if you want, just start from the middle of the keyboard. The pattern would be the same. So G, and then you skip down to E, right? So that note would be E right there. So you can use that to figure out even the ledger lines that are not way off the staff. Let's put a note here. What note would this be? Let me make sure you can see it here. Okay, so you got G here, then E, if you remember the pattern, C, before C in the pattern, A, and then F. So F, A, C, E, G. You can actually reverse engineer it if you want, just to make sure that you are getting back up to G when you get to that top line. So it works the same even when it's up off the staff. Let me do an example with a note that's like on a space. So you can have ledger lines as well for spaces. It's just that the lines will be above or below whatever note that is. And so that one's on a space. So this time what we're doing is instead of counting down from this bottom line, which would be right here, we're actually going to count down from this bottom space. So this note here is A, right there. So all you got to do is count down. We got to count down. So here's A, and then let's see, F would be here. Next one's D, and therefore this note must be B. But again, if you have it memorized, you can just go A, F, D, B, and then you can find that note right away. Okay, students, it's time for the playing quiz. Here's the quiz. I want you to start on the note D, and you can look at the piano doing this. For a challenge, don't look at the piano, but most people look at the piano, start on D, and I want you, the middle D, the one right near middle C, and I want you to count up the sequence going all the way up the piano and then all the way back. And then what I want you to do is I want you to start on the E right above middle C, and I want you to count backwards all the way down the piano and all the way back using the sequence we talked about today. Okay, it's time for the power tip. We're going to finish out the lesson strong today. So the power tip is that once you've practiced and mastered what we talked about today, which is skipping every other note, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, and then going backwards, C, A, F, D, B, G, E. That one's the harder one. Once you can do that very well, you want to start reading music in intervals because that's taking this concept to the next level. When you skip every other note, that's called reading notes in thirds, which is a type of interval. But there's actually seconds, fourths, fifths, sixths, octaves, and so on, and a lot more to know about it. So check out this lesson right here. It's all about reading music in intervals. Even if you haven't mastered today's lesson, I recommend you still watch this one right away. It'll just kind of introduce you to what you should be doing next. It's your piano teacher, Tim, here. Thank you so much for coming by today. I hope that you take what we learned today and you run with it as far as you can and make your piano playing dreams come true. So thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you next time.